How's it going, everyone? Mr. Bowler back with a rare midweek video. I've decided to jump on this thread that's going around the VC last few days, the 10 bad albums in your collection that doesn't include St. Anger. I was going to do this on the weekend, but I've got my Motley Crue album ranking video planned for the weekend, so I decided to get in there early and do this tonight instead. So this is a thread that was started by Jurgen and Metal Mickey, talking about 10 bad albums in your collection that obviously doesn't include St. Anger. Let's get straight into it. Just a quick sip of coffee. I've actually got 12 albums here. So let's get into it. I'll start off with some CDs. This is an Alnutcraft, and how do you bloody pronounce it? Desideratum. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. These guys are without a doubt the most extreme band that I listen to. This stuff's not for the faint of heart usually. If you're not familiar with these guys, what you get here is some black metal, some death metal, some industrial. It's pretty hardcore stuff. However, on this album, they went down a metalcore route, and for me, big mistake. That's the only real main sort of problem I have with this album. Like I say, usually it's unbelievably heavy, but they've just gone for a metalcore sound on this, and for me, it just doesn't work. So if you're into metalcore, you're not familiar with this, you probably might like this album, so you might want to give it a listen. I think part of the problem with this came out in 2013, I think. Yeah. At the time, I was in a band playing around my local town, and we played kind of a sort of a mixture of styles of metal. And like every bill we got put on, we would just put on bills with either metalcore or deathcore bands, and all those bands sounded exactly the same as each other. And I picked this up at the time, and this is just not what I wanted from this band. I mean, these guys are usually amazing. They bring out stunning albums, but for me, this is just a massive mistake. Don't really like it at all. I know Alnutcraft, not good. Easily the weakest in their discography as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, if you like metalcore, you'll probably like that one. Up next is Remains by Annihilator. This came out in 1997. Now, I hate to criticise anything that Jeff Waters has done because I absolutely love Jeff Waters. Phenomenal guitar player. Annihilator's got a very, very strong discography behind them, but this is definitely the weakest of the bunch. I think I remember reading an interview years ago. I don't think he was going through a very good time in his personal life at the time. So maybe he wasn't fully concentrating on releasing the best music possible. It's just him on this album. He does all the drum programming, all the guitars, all the bass, all the vocals. And whereas the guitar riff and solo is still very good, it's Jeff Waters after all. He's just forgotten to write any kind of memorable songs or hooks, really. I mean, I look on the back, and the only one that really look on the back, that would help. The only one that really sort of sticks out in the memory is a song called Tricks and Traps, which is pretty good. You've got Murder on this, Sexecution. But the rest of it, I can't really remember at all. And even the first two songs I mentioned, they're literally just okay. But that's Remains from 1997 from Annihilator. Yeah, not very good at all. Really disappointing album. Easily the weakest in their discography. I've showed this album before. Bon Jovi, These Days. This is a terrible, terrible album. I mean, their 1986 album, Slippery When Wet, is one of my favourite albums. It's just no bad songs on it at all. The complete opposite here, there's barely any good songs on this. This came out in 1995. There is, Christ, how many songs on this? Sorry, I can't read it very clearly. The writing is absolutely tiny. 14 songs on this, and only 3 of them are good. And even then, they're not amazing. The title track These Days is good. The first song, Hey God, is the only song that really rocks like the old sort of Bon Jovi. And another single from this, Something with a Pain, I really like. But the rest of it is just absolute boring crap, basically. This is hard to get through. I had this years ago on cassette and got rid of it. And early last year, I was buying Keep the Faith from someone off of eBay because I've never had that album. And then I had this. It was only 50p. So I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll grab it again. Maybe all these years later with a fresh set of ears, maybe it's better. No, it's just as bad as it was back in the mid-90s. This is like rock for housewives, you know, who want something the next step up from something like Coldplay. Absolutely dreadful, boring, uninspired nonsense. Very, very difficult to get through. Just avoid like the plague. Absolutely terrible album from a great band. Another terrible album from a great band, Roots from Sepultura. A lot of people love this album, but I absolutely don't get it. I think it's terrible. The last album that featured Max Cavalera, it's not good. I mean, Sepultura for me, Arise is an absolute masterpiece. Beneath the Remains, another stunning album. Schizophrenic from 1987, very good. And Chaos AD from 1993 is also an absolutely brilliant album. That's obviously when they changed the style up a bit. They made things much more basic, going a bit more of a groove direction, bringing in some of the tribal drums. Love that album. It's all really, really good. This, though, never liked it. Right from the office, like, this is not good. I mean, the first two songs are very, very good. Roots, Bloody Roots. You'll know that song because it's absolutely brilliant. Really good. Catchy chorus. Nice riffing. Very simple. Second song, Attitude's very good as well. Enjoy that one. Push, Ratamahata, which is song 4, is okay, but the rest of it's just totally forgettable. When people say that they love this album, it just absolutely stumps me. Can't stand it. Hence, I've only got it on this little thin cardboard edition that came with a box set of the other albums that they released. I'm never going to ever buy this on vinyl because it's a load of shit, basically. Terrible album from a great band. It's really, really poor. Never enjoyed it. Yeah, not good at all. Exodus, Force of Habit from 1992. Not good. This, for me, is the sort of Exodus's attempt at a Black album. You know, obviously, Metallica put out the Black album, crossed over to the mainstream, sold a ton of albums. I think a lot of the thrash bands were under pressure back in the mid-90s, early 90s even, to produce something more commercial. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Worked with Megadeth's Counter to Extinction, obviously the Black album. For me, Exodus Force of Habit does not work at all. This is, again, another one of those albums that is just way too long. There's about 14 songs here, and it doesn't need at least half of them. It's not good. Not good at all. I mean, the first track on this, Thorn in My Side, was, I believe, a single. I remember there was a video out for it. And usually when you're putting out a song with a video or a single, that's representing some of the best work, or if not the best work on your album. And it's just an okay song. And if that's what you're releasing as the very first song, it doesn't say much about the rest of the album. Another thing about this album, there's 2 cover versions on it. There's a cover version of where is it? Bloody hell, I can't find it now. Pump It Up by Elvis Costello and the Attractions. Now, I love the original of that. The cover on this is okay, but the original is much, much better. And I thought there was another cover version of it, but I can't see it now. But yeah, anyway, it's not a good album. The songs pass you by. They don't stick out in the memory. I remember once overhearing a conversation where someone was saying to their friend that this was the best Exodus album. And all I could think to myself was, you clearly haven't listened to any other Exodus albums because it's an absolute piece of shit. Force of Habit from 1992. Exodus, not good. And the last of the CDs is Dee Snider, and I can't remember the title. We Are the Ones. This was very, very disappointing. The album he put out before this, I think it's called For the Love of Metal, is absolutely outstanding. And I got this and was expecting more of the same, and it couldn't have been more wrong. This is a terrible album. Again, I hate to criticise Dee because he's fantastic, but this album is not good. There's a piano version on here of We're Not Going to Take It, which is just completely unnecessary. You know, the original's an iconic heavy metal song, and whereas there's nothing massively wrong with it, it doesn't need to be on there either. Speaking of things that don't need to be on there, there's a cover of Nine Inch Nails' Head Like a Hole, which, again, it's okay, but, you know, why would you want to hear that when you could listen to the original, which is far, far superior? There's a couple of songs in this that are okay. The title track, We Are the Ones, is alright. Superhero's okay, but the rest of it completely forgettable. I was so disappointed because For the Love of Metal is an absolutely outstanding album, and this follow-up is absolute trash. Not good whatsoever. So that's that for the CDs. Once again, I'm not hating on Dee Snider because I love him, but Twisted Sisters Come Out and Play is an absolutely terrible album. When you think the two that come before this were You Can't Stop Rock and Roll and Stay Hungry, then this is just absolutely dreadful in comparison. How a band can release two outstanding albums and then the following year release this absolute pile of nonsense is really, really strange. It's not good at all. It really isn't. I picked this up when I first started getting back into collecting records in about 2006. It's in the local record store, never heard it. It was sitting right there, so I grabbed it, listened to it, and it's terrible. Not good at all. Be Cruel to Your School, probably the only one on this that really sticks out in the memory. Come Out and Play is okay, but the rest of it I don't care for at all. And their cover of Leader of the Pack is just completely laughable. Terrible idea. Yeah, that's all you can say about it, really. It is not a good album at all. A lot of people talk shit about the follow-up, Love Is For Suckers, but for me, Love Is For Suckers is a far, far better album than this. I think it's sold by the bucket load back in the day, simply because they were so popular at the time. But it is a terrible album. Yeah, would not ever recommend that you pick this one up. Up next, some extreme metal from here in the UK, and this is Carcass, their debut, Reek of Putrefaction. Yeah, so as you can see, I bought this just recently because I'm a completist and I want everything on vinyl. But this doesn't mean it's a good album. It's bloody awful. Again, I see a lot of Carcass fans, old school fans, saying that albums like Heartwork and Swan Song are terrible and this is their best stuff. Not at all. This is bloody awful. Terrible, terrible album. Some amusing song titles on it for sure. Vomited Anal Tract, that always makes me giggle. Genital Grinder, stuff like that. It's just basically a case of let's play everything as fast as possible, turn everything up to 10, and that'll do. And it's just awful. There's no hooks on this at all. No memorable guitarists, anything like that. They went on to do so much better stuff. And whoever mixed this album as well did a terrible job. It's just like I say, they turned everything up to 10. It's like, that'll do. This is not good at all. They went on to do so much better stuff than this. When I see people saying that their first two albums are the best, for me, not in the slightest. And this is definitely the bottom of the pile. It's a dreadful album. Hardly ever listen to it. Yeah, lots of people love this one. Not me. It's awful. Over to the States for some hair metal and Poison's Flesh and Blood. Now, Poison's debut, Look What the Cat Dragged In, as far as I'm concerned, is an absolute stunning 10 out of 10 glam metal album. The follow-up, Open Up and Say Art, is also a very, very good album, but for me, this album, Flesh and Blood, not very good at all. It's another one of those albums that goes on for way too long, 14 songs, and most of them are not very good at all. I mean, you're looking really at the singles on this album for the good stuff. Flesh and Blood, the title track, is very good. Unskinny Bop I really enjoy. Ride the Wind's okay. But the rest of it, Something to Believe In, just a dreary ballad. Same as Life Goes On. Come Hell High Water, stuff like that. Just not good. Not good at all. A lot of the songs in this just completely pass me by. I don't stick out in the memory. And I just don't really enjoy it very much. It's just very, very poor. The two that come before this are so much better. I think it's overproduced, lack of decent songs, and an album I just don't really enjoy. And I'm never going to listen to it very often. Municipal Waste, and this is Slime and Punishment from 2017. Now, I love this band. They've got a very good, strong discography behind them. If you're not familiar with them, thrash crossover from over in the United States. Everything else I've done is really good, but this album I just never clicked with. I remember grabbing this on the day of release pretty much and couldn't wait to listen to it. And I listened to it about 4 times and it just doesn't stick out in the memory. Hardly anything does. I mean, the title track does. That's very good, Slime and Punishment. Breathe Grease, the first track on side 1 is good. But there's 14 songs on this and it's only those 2 to stick out in the memory. They haven't wrote any memorable riffs. No memorable choruses or anything like that. It just passes you by. Starts, finishes, and you barely remember any of it. Hate to say it because I love this band, but it's just not very good at all. Out of all their albums, I would definitely recommend do not pick this one up. Definitely go for something like The Art of Partying or Hazardous Mutation. They are far better albums. Def Leppard Slang. This is bloody awful. Yeah, if you didn't like Adrenalize, then you certainly ain't going to like this. I picked this up only because I saw it when I was out and about and it had a note on the front saying that there was a scratch on track 4, so it was only £4. And I thought, this is rare to see out and about. So I grabbed it, listened to it, and there's no scratch on track 4. It plays absolutely fine. But the only song that sticks out in the memory for me on this is the title track, Slang. The rest of it is bloody awful. I mean, there's stuff on here like All I Want Is Everything, Breathe a Sigh, Work It Out, which are the lamest ballads that Bryan Adams never put out. It's absolutely terrible, this album. I don't know what they were thinking. I know times have changed since the glory days of the 80s in 1996 and hard rock bands were struggling. But it doesn't mean you have to put out an absolute pile of shit like this. This is such a bad album. Again, I would never ever recommend anyone goes out and listens to this. If you're into Leppard, you never heard it, because you're missing absolutely nothing. It's so bad. Rock for housewives. Bored housewives at that. And the last one is from heavy metal legends Judas Priest. This is Ram It Down, and this is terrible. A lot of people always slate the album that come before this, Turbo. I really enjoy that album. I think it's very, very good. This, though, is awful. I mean, I only paid £2 for this, and I still feel like I've been ripped off. They're ticking all the heavy metal cliche boxes on this. It's very, very bad. There's a couple of songs that are alright. Blood Red Skies is okay. A lot of people hate the cover of Johnny B. Good. I don't really mind that too much. The title track, Ram It Down, is okay. But stuff like Heavy Metal and Love Zone are just the most appalling songs that they ever wrote. Come and Get It, Hard as Iron, Monsters of Rock. It's just cliches left, right and centre. It's an absolutely terrible album. They followed it up with something far, far better. This, for me, is the result of a band that's been working with their producer too long, and the producer's completely taken his eye off the ball. He's not in that place anymore where he's been super critical of the songs. He's just sort of going along with it. And it's a dreadful album. It's not good at all. It's not all Tom Allen's fault, because the songs in general are not good in the first place. But I think he took his off the ball with the production. It's an awful album. Yeah, when people say that Turbo is worse than this, I don't know what they're talking about. For me, this is easily the weakest song from their popular period in the 80s. Ram It Down from 1988 is an absolutely terrible heavy metal album. Do not pick this up, in my opinion. Right, guys, that's it for this quick midweek video. Thanks for sticking around and watching to the end. Let me know about what you think about these albums that I've shown. Do you really like them, or do you agree with me that they're not very good at all? If you liked the video, please hit the like button. Thanks to all those who've subscribed to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, then please do so. It's very much appreciated. I'll see you in a few days on Sunday with my Motley Crue album ranking video. Take care, guys. See you soon. Catch you later. Bye.